Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes and then I'll get started. If you're watching, go ahead and say hi in the comments. I'm not seeing anything on my end, but I do see we have some viewers. Sometimes my screen does not update. It's really weird sometimes. Okay. I am only seeing 2 viewers on my end. I am gonna take a look. See if I'm popping up over here. Okay, it's so weird. There are comments. I'm looking at like the craft room page. I'm seeing 2 comments. Lisa and Belinda. Hello, hello. And Paula. So I'm gonna just kind of pop back and forth between these 2 because I am not showing any comments on mine even every time I refresh it. So I'll just go back and forth between these 2. So we're gonna give it one more minute. Tonight's live won't take too long. I'm just demonstrating a really quick and easy quilt block. And then just really just wanted to show you the sparkle paste, which is really nifty. And you can even see what it looks like after it's been washed. Because sometimes you just never know, you know, how something truly works and says that you can wash it, and yes, you can. And I have you can look at that. So, all right. I have, as you can see, 2 screens set up, one my work area and one where I'm talking. I'm sitting at my sewing machine. I do not have a camera on my sewing machine, but I did record myself previously, so you'll be able to see myself sewing when I do that little bit here shortly. But yeah, if anybody's new on here, my name is Julia. And I've been doing these lives for ThermOWeb, probably, I think I'm in at least year 2 now. Honestly, maybe year 3. I really don't know. I'd have to look back. So yeah, let's get started. And I'm gonna move over. I'm gonna minimize this screen, the one where I'm sitting at, so you can see more of the workspace instead. Let me check the comments again. There we go. Okay. All right. So for tonight, here we go. Should be working. You gotta love it. Love it. Love technology. There we go. Okay. I can see that it's working. So tonight, let me bring over the finish. So I finished an entire quilt. I did a 5x5 block quilt. And I used a batting. I used a all natural cotton batting. So it is very like textured. I love it. It's so wrinkly. Depending on the type of material you use in the inside of your quilts will give you different looks. But this 100% cotton just is very very wrinkly, and I adore it. It just looks so warm and fuzzy. And it goes really well with this raw edge applique technique. I'll bring it up closer. And raw edge, I mean that it is the edge of the fabric. It is not turned under. There's no hems. It is literally the edging of the fabric. It's not a look that everybody likes, but, and myself included, I really did not like this look for a while. To me, it just looked unfinished, but it's grown on me, and it just has this warm and a fuzzy feeling that, you know, just makes you just want to curl up in it. And the more you use it, the fuzzier it gets. So this has only been through the wash one time. So the more times it gets washed, the more this will soften up. But the real winner tonight is this. This is the sparkle paste, and I will talk more about that in a little bit. But as you can see, I have washed this, and it is still there, which is amazing. So for tonight, you do need to go to ThermOWeb's blog, and if you want to do this exact pattern, you can find it there. However, this is just an organic flower shape, and it's pretty simple for you to cut on your own. But this is available for those who need it. You will, for this particular quilt size that I did, I am using a 9-inch block, and that's what goes with the pattern, a 9-inch block for my background. And all of your foreground pieces are just scraps. I need to still press all of these. So I don't really have exact sizes. They're just scrap pieces that I know will fit with this. So let's get them pressed first, and then we'll cut this out. Set this aside. And I am going to spritz. I have a little water in one of these. I have a little water. I'm going to spritz these a little bit to kind of help. I have different irons. This is one of my irons I don't put water in. I have certain irons that I put water in for the steaming, some that I don't. Just a personal preference. Keep some for hot only. All right. So let's put these aside. So there's different ways you can do this. For tonight, I'm going to cut out each shape as I go. Now, because I am only doing one block tonight, if I were you and you're making a quilt, I would cut several at a time. It just makes it more time efficient. But since I'm just making one block, I will probably use this perhaps in like a pillow shape. In like a pillow form, I might make one or two more, but I would cut multiples. So let me get my paper scissors. Gotta have the different scissors. These, I think, at one time were fabric scissors, but they have now been designated as paper scissors. We'll put that aside. We'll need that for the leaf here shortly. Now, I was saying there's more than one way to do this. You can go in and cut each of these shapes out individually. What I did in the past with the quilt, I did that. I cut out each shape, and I have just a simple break that I keep together. You can also tape that back, or you can do what I'm doing tonight, and I am going to just cut my shape out since I'm doing one at a time, and then I'll cut that out, and so on. Now for this, I really like to use the pattern and stencil adhesive. It's very helpful so that I don't have to trace it. It doesn't slide around while I'm cutting out, and there's no pins involved as well. So I'm looking for something I can spray it on. Usually when I'm doing this, like just in general, I have a different area in my room that I use, but we're doing this all under the camera. So we're going to try to keep it all here. So I like to spray the paper. I don't spray the fabric, I spray the paper because the paper will have the sticky stuff and it will just adhere and it doesn't leave any residue. So just a quick little spray. I'm not sure you can see that texture or not. Not sure how the quality is on the Facebook, but then we're going to place it down. And look at that. It just kind of holds it on there. Perfect. So let me grab my fabric scissors now. We're going to cut out our shape. And we're going to do this the 5 different times for each of the different shape. And what's so nice about this pattern is because of its organic floral nature, it doesn't have to be exact. And the more that they're different, the better. And I have a pattern just because, if you don't know, if you've not been on these things before, I am an art teacher at a pre-K through 8th grade school. And I create tracers for my students for certain things. And I do that not to like inhibit their creativity, but not everybody wants to create their own. Not everybody has that in them. Some of them need that push, some need that help, but then the others who don't, they just do what they want, and that's great. But there are those who, they just need that little extra, and they just feel more successful if they have a pattern. So there's our first shape. We're going to do it again with our next one, with our next size down. And like I said, if I was doing the quilt, I would probably cut several. My scissors, I think, can cut through like 4 layers. My good fabric ones can cut through 4 to 6 layers of fabric at a time, instead of just doing one at a time. All right, and this is still sticky, and it does not leave my fabric sticky, it leaves my paper. So I'm just going to simply place it on here and it holds it for me. And of course I'm still holding it, but I don't feel like I have to like really make sure that it's not going to slide on me. All right, next one. We'll cut to the next ring. Still sticky, so it can, oh, wrong scissors, it can lose its stickiness over time, so you just respray it. I think when I made the quilt I had to spray them twice with all the shapes, and it was 25 squares. It was 5 by 5 squares, so 25 of each of these. That's not too bad. And then cutting out to the center one. And this is a really big one. I probably could get several from here, so I'm going to put it over in the corner. Okay. All right, and I did not cut out my leaf yet. So in the pattern, I also include a leaf-like shape. You might be able to hear my children in the back. They're getting ready for bed. They still have school this week and next week. Me too. All right, this one I have not sprayed yet, so we're going to give it a little spray with the... It's the smallest amount. There it is, sticking. And then, as you notice for this, I did a back and forth between a light and medium and dark colors to make the different layers of the flower stand out. And if I can pull the quilt back up again, and I just varied it with each block. No two blocks are the same, which is really neat. And there is our little leaf. All right, let me put the pattern pieces out of the way. And we will need this again because I am going to be doing some more spraying. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out our block. And our pieces. And you want to make sure, you got to remember, you're going to have 1/4 inch seam all the way around. So not putting anything too close. But you do have your leaf you have to contend with. So I'm going to kind of turn this on an angle, because I'm going to put my leaf over in this. And it works really anywhere. You can do it anywhere, just be a smaller leaf. Right here is kind of the biggest area for it. And then when placing your other layers, I suggest making sure you have space. So the way that the pattern is made, you can follow it to a T if you have it printed off again, or just simply place them on top, making sure that when you have room to stitch around each one. And then this one in the center. All right. We're not going to pin this either. We're going to use another spray. A lot of times this spray is used for, we're going to use basting. A lot of times this spray is used for basting your front quilt front, your batting and your backing together, and it works amazing. But we're going to also use it for this so that we don't have any pins, and it keeps everything together for us. Now we're just doing a little spray just to hold it in place for us. I'm going to pick up the block. We're just going to do the smallest little spray on each layer, and we're going right down in the center. So I'm lifting this up, giving it just a little spray. And I know from the screen it's probably really hard to see the spray, but it's just the smallest amount in the center. And then, of course, we want to do our leaf too. And it kind of holds them all in place so that when we go sew, they're ready to go and there's no pins involved. All right, so now it's time for sewing. I'm going to go over, check the chat, see if there's anything, and I have a video of myself sewing this because I only have my phone camera and my computer camera. And if you want to know anything about the cameras for sewing, in my room, it's very difficult to have a camera up at all times while you're sewing. It is right in front of my face, so it's very hard to see. So I'm going to take this over, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually using my free motion quilting foot, and I'm going to free motion around each of these petals. And then the leaf. And then the leaf also gets caught down in here, which is really nice, so it catches it. And you will see that in the video, but it is free motion quilting. I put my feed dogs down. Those are the teeth that grab it to help pull it through. You put that down so you can move this however you'd like. And you will see that over here. All right, I'm looking, I am not having any comments on my end, but I can see them on this end, which is really strange. So that is so weird. But we will keep going. All right. We're going to hide that. Okay. So it's as simple as that. That's really the quilt block. Okay, this going back and forth is weird. Okay, says someone doesn't have sound. Hopefully that's just them, not everybody. Does anybody else not have sound? I'm going to keep going. And if there is no sound when I do the playback, I will redo the video and place it on YouTube. So here is our quilt block. Very simple. Now we are going to be using HeatnBond Sparkle Paste by Jennifer Long. It is really nice. It adds glitter and sparkle to any of your fabric pieces, and it's permanent. You've probably seen where you can buy shirts and things in the store that can be washed that have that that glitter on them, and this is what it reminds me of. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the same thing. So for tonight, we are going to be adding it with a paintbrush. This was a regular paintbrush that I cut. I did it with the tapered point, and it just was really hard to move it around, so I just cut my paintbrush down. And for this project, I did it simply within my sewing lines. To create the center of my flower. Now you'll want to wash this brush before it dries on there, but nice thing is it's really not set. This is all washable until you heat set it. However, we can't heat set it yet. We have to wait an hour until it dries, and then you would set it with a piece of pressing paper and a very hot iron. And a hot iron, you would set it for 60 seconds. You would press it. Now I don't have any prepped to do that. It's simply putting a piece of pressing paper over it and then pressing it for 60 seconds. So I do have to let this one dry. And that's it. This color I used was called Ballerina. For the quilt, I used Ballerina and Teal. I believe it comes in 14 colors. I have 10 of them, and they are so pretty. There's the two of the colors that I have. Let me show you the colors I have, and then you can actually check them out online. This one's almost just like, I've used this one before on a live. I've used the gold on a live before too. Back in, I think, February or March. So these are the colors I have. I am missing a few. I can see I am missing purple and a dark green. I do know those two, so I'll be working on getting those soon. Purple would have been really pretty with this one. But anyway, I wish I could say I could check the chat, but I don't think things are updating on my end. I think the live is running, but I am not seeing the updates, so I will do my best to try to see if I can do that. Otherwise, I will go back in when it's over and check the chat and reply to your responses if you have questions. Let me put this aside. I'm going to show you the quilt one more time. Nice and fluffy. And like I said, this is after it's been washed and dried. I washed it on just a regular cycle, and then I did dry it on low heat. You don't want to do any high heat, and I wouldn't do medium heat. I did low heat, and it's still there, which is fabulous. And this quilt is just going to get softer and softer the more it's used. It's going to get more wrinkly. I love it. The texture that is created from the raw edge applique. And if you weren't here earlier and didn't hear, the batting I used was 100% cotton. And I knew going into that would really wrinkle up. If you don't like that, I would use something that has a little bit more of the polyester in it, like a 80-20, or you can even use HeatnBond has a fleece, a sew-in fleece that works really, really nice as well. And it comes by the yard that you can order from them. So yeah, I'm going to check the chat, see if there's any questions. Other than that, like I said, tonight's live was going to be pretty quick, pretty simple. And I thank you for joining me tonight. Let me fold this up and leave it right here. I see someone is asking if it's thick enough to stencil. Yes, actually, I have done stencil. Let me show you. I did it on a project earlier, and actually, so the sparkle paste is something that is in partnership with Jennifer Long. She is also one of the ThermOWeb designers. She's been designing for a while. You can see her name is right there. She actually has stencils. I don't have them with me at the moment, but I can show you that I've done stencils. A few months back, I made these little Easter egg holders, and I created my own stencil. And yes, stencils can be used. Here it is. I made just a paper stencil, cutting some holes, and it works. I just used like a credit card or an old card, scraped it through. It is thick enough, and it works great with a stencil. So it can be painted, it can be stenciled. I think those are the only two I can think of. Here's another one that was stenciled. So yes, this stuff can be stenciled. And a little goes a long way. All right, so I am going to say our goodbyes. I can only see about 4 comments at a time because it's not showing up on my end, so I have to look at it a different way, but it only shows me 4, the most recent ones. So I want to thank you all again for coming. I appreciate it. My next live will be in June, if you can believe that. It'll be June 11th, which is my daughter's birthday, so I might have her join us and see. It's my younger daughter. She has not been on one of the lives yet, but I think that might be a fun little birthday surprise for her. She'll be turning 7. So again, thank you all for joining. I'm going to close this out, and I look forward to our next one. Have a good night.